busy day here. Good morning, everyone. It was a great weekend for football. I'll leave it at that. Thank you all for coming today for my last press conference representing the people of the state of Delaware as state treasurer. Though my comments will be brief, I hope these words will endure for generations of Delawareans considering a career in the noble profession of public service. On this last occasion, on the eve of a successful transition to a new treasurer, I would like to take this opportunity to speak directly to the people of this state whom I have and will always hold in highest regard. First, as your state treasurer, we are leaving you a legacy of historic achievements in the face of strong adversity made by standing up for change. Today, I am pleased to announce that we have made over $55 million in returns during my tenure in office, despite a difficult economic and strong adverse political climate. And we're thankful we have a representative from Credit Suisse here today. We want to say thank you for all your great work on behalf of the people of this state. But despite these headwinds, we not only made millions for Delaware, but we also strengthened and reformed our financial system through independent investment advice, protected hundreds of millions from a failing state bank, fostered diversity among our state investment managers, modernized the Treasury, rewarded merit over political connections, and allowed innovative ideas to flourish in a political climate that too often rewards the status quo that limits Delaware from achieving its full potential. We even laid the groundwork for a debit card program to reduce checks and make life easier for those in our society who are unable to participate in the financial system. And we implemented the framework of a program to ensure that the state only invests in those securities that represent the values of taxpayers. Our 4-year legacy can be seen in the phrases and words that we've added to the political language of the state. Crawfishing, the non-endorsement endorsement, bold ideas, bold plan, standing up for change, framework to restore prosperity, honest way reforms, Delaware Economic Index, Delaware Stock Index, Delaware Early Warning System, and even the name of the office, Delaware State Treasury, that focus on the work of the office and the people, not the individual holding the office, as in the former name, Office of the State Treasurer. These accomplishments and phrases exemplify the broad reach of this term. As a military brat, I always wanted to make a positive impact on the lives of the people, and we did in 4 years. As you know, it was not easy, but it was worth it. We didn't do these things for glory, we did them for you. I am pleased to pass along this legacy to our incoming state treasurer, Ken Simpler. Though we are from different political parties, I truly wish him well. Unlike my entry into this office, I ensured that Mr. Simpler had a thorough transition to guarantee that his team has a good chance to be successful, including an offer to run background checks on any member of his team. My job as a public servant is not to set up my successor to fail so my achievements can shine. Rather, my job is to ensure my successor succeeds so that people can continue to reap the benefits of a strong treasury. His wife Liz and his children are fine people, and I am proud to leave this office in his care and restore balance in a political system that I personally believe that was very much needed. To Ken and Liz, my family and I are praying for you to succeed, and we wish you all the best in serving the people of this state. We are pulling for you. Before I depart, I think it's important to talk as the first and only African-American statewide elected official who was elected by the people of the state to hold this office, and I think it's very important to discuss my experiences. As you know, race is a very difficult subject to address. But if we want to improve our society, we have to confront the challenges associated with race so we can leave a stronger and more diverse future for future generations of Delawareans. While my parents and forefathers faced the cruelties of segregation, they had one distinct advantage over our time. There was a willingness to talk about this difficult subject that many of us find uncomfortable. But their willingness to talk about race resulted in a movement that witnessed one of the greatest expansion of human rights in the 20th century. Talking about experiences with race isn't playing the race card. It's the best way to address issues to move our society forward. I owe it to the people of this generation and future generations to use this opportunity to address it with the hope that things will improve. I depart Delaware with mixed emotions on the state of race based on my experience. On the one hand, the people of this state allowed me to serve in leadership roles in the legal community, to build a $1 million small business, to become a voice of politics in its nightly news, to represent them in Democratic conventions on multiple occasions, to win 2 historic elections based on ideas, to serve as a voice against an establishment that seemingly had lost its way by focusing on political gains for the few, not the needs of the many. In short, the people of this state showed and continue to show true progress on this issue. On the other hand, as an elected official, I watched firsthand a political leadership climate, along with certain print media, that used race as a weapon at times, fostered racial stereotypes, combined the two with falsehoods to try to deceive the public. With shock, awe, and disbelief, I watched leaders of this state overlook the criminal actions of the former Deputy State Treasurer, a non-minority, whom we now know lied to investigators, filed false claims with the police, manipulated police reports, broke into computers to erase emails to cover her tracks, make fraudulent charges, owed creditors thousands of dollars in legal proceedings, made over 30 personal charges on her state credit card, including a couple charges where she lied to me, investigators, and law enforcement about the origin of a football game, and then was presumably permitted to leave the state quietly without a single criminal charge on her record. This does not mean a person accused of wrongdoing is not entitled to their legal rights, but a signal was sent that such behavior would be unchecked and that it's okay to blame your criminal conduct on the African American to avoid legal action. I have no explanation for this, but I think the people deserve it. I deferred this for federal authorities to continue their review, but we cannot have 2 separate outcomes depending on your race. This was a horrible, horrible signal to send to future generations of Delawareans and must never happen again. I think it is fair to say that not many people, African Americans or otherwise, would have been given a pass from this laundry list of criminal conduct. If you think so, imagine if you or I had done any of those actions, would we have been given such a pass? I think not. I watched in shock and awe as lies were told to give the impression that the African American treasurer, who was personally financially well off, was somehow stealing money to pay for a trip to Alaska and order some pancakes at a treasurer's conference in Alaska, even when it was proven by the auditor's office that neither the trip nor a single pancake was ever paid by taxpayers, but by the Treasurers Association. These lies grew even after I gave over $100,000 of my state salary to charity, and after spending over $300,000 of my own money to serve in this office. A series of articles discussing these incidents and wrongfully promoting the African American stealing stereotype, often not even mentioning the name of the individual who actually did the lying and the stealing, showed that our political leadership and certain print media have a long ways to go on race relations. Unlike the people of Delaware, who showed their strong disapproval of this conduct at the ballot box and in all the polling that reflected a strong lead in my favor against both my primary and general election opponents. Just because the polls weren't printed doesn't mean they didn't exist. It just means they weren't printed to continue that negative perception. That was truly disappointing. Talking about race disparity doesn't mean that I didn't make a few mistakes or missteps. Rather, my few mistakes and missteps just weren't the falsehoods many were told to the public. It's funny, I'm off script here, but I have to say that going to the University of Pennsylvania, Georgetown, and Harvard, we didn't get a course on how to deal with a corrupt deputy. There was no textbook that said this is what you do when your government turns on you and tries to set you up for something you didn't do. And in fact, I asked a colleague of mine, a friend of mine, a director at Harvard, a few weeks ago, does that entitle me to a tuition refund? Where she promptly replied, no, it doesn't, but you have a duty to tell that story so it never happens again. and she's right, and I intend to do so. I'm glad that the auditor found that not a single penny was taken improperly by the African American treasurer to dispel that awful stereotype, and that the only issue that was found was that I failed to sign a travel form approving myself to travel. It's bizarre, but I have to take that hit. We all know that that was not the perception given to the public. We can't pretend that the experiences that happened to me didn't happen. We can't just turn the page on this disgraceful chapter in race relations in the history of our state. This didn't happen in 1964 in a southern state. This happened in 2014 in Delaware. Our political leaders didn't speak up against the falsehoods or mistreatment, even if they had evidence, even after they had evidence of the truth, that I had done my job honorably and truthfully. Rather, some even encouraged it and had the attitude, this is what he deserves because he challenged us. I don't believe this conduct by our political leaders is what the people of Delaware stand for. It's not who we are or who we aspire to be. I know I certainly don't stand for this conduct. Diversity and inclusion among our political leaders isn't going to the Martin Luther King Jr. event in Wilmington, Lewis, Bridgeville, or Dover and singing "We Shall Overcome" alongside African Americans. Diversity means having the courage to lead the state by speaking out when you see people exploiting stereotypes and racial intolerance and saying, this is wrong, and it won't be tolerated in Delaware. That's what the people expect of their political leaders, and rightfully so. Diversity means having the courage to allow people who are different from you to sit at the table and share ideas that you may oppose, but not to seek to destroy their lives because they see the world in a different way. These are critical issues facing the state, but they will not be addressed until we're able to confront the basic rights that God has afforded each of us. Eliminating stereotypes and allowing diversity to shine is the beauty of America. Cultural diversity allowed this great nation to emerge as a beacon of hope for so many. We must never allow political leaders or those with an agenda to lead the people of this state down this dark and divisive road again. Hashtag never again. Great things happen when stereotypes are abandoned and people are accepted with an open heart and mind. I know the people in Delaware will demand change from their political leaders, and I truly believe that the next African American statewide official will be allowed to simply do his or her job without the burdens of stereotypes, lies, or drama. They will not walk through that door alone. I, along with the people of this state, will be right there supporting him or her every step of the way. Delaware's best days lie ahead as long as we're willing to talk about the problems and confront them with the boldness of our character and the kindness of our hearts. Our political leaders and certain print media need to follow the people in this regard because they are certainly ahead of you in this area. Even in the darkest parts of my experience, there was a ray of hope, specifically the work of unnamed federal and local authorities and many others who worked tirelessly to clear my name from the lies and took steps to prevent those who were trying to destroy my life simply because I was different and wanted the best for people. I may not be allowed to name you, but I will never forget you. You represent the best in public service, and I'm honored that you listen to me. I will always appreciate all you have done for me and my family and the people of the state. And we both know that some things the people will never know. You see, as politicians, we want to define our legacy. Over 55 million made, protecting millions from a failing bank, overcoming obstacles to serve the public, making history. But I think my legacy is simply to encourage others who lost a little faith in our system in Delaware to not only follow in my footsteps, but to surpass them. That's what's important to me. So with this in mind, today I'm proud to announce a website that will archive my work as state treasurer and will provide details of my historic campaign to serve as a roadmap for others who seek to serve the people. It will discuss the issues that I confronted and provide unprecedented insights into the important policy debates during my time in office, including recordings of the infamous Cash Management Policy Board meeting, so that people can know that we fought for them. The best legacy is to encourage good and decent people to enter government so we can forever change the political landscape of this state with those who truly support openness and diversity. In short, I want to leave you and your children a detailed roadmap to pick up in Delaware where I left off. Borrowing the words of a famous leader, the arc of progress is long, but it always bends towards justice. Last August, I made an error when I considered allowing the wrongdoers to prevent me from ever doing what I love, serving the people. But that's not the message I want to send to future generations of Delawareans. And more importantly, that's not the message I want to send to my wife or my children. When people knock you down, you get back up. It doesn't mean that you play in a game that's rigged for you to fail, such as Delaware politics, particularly with its current leadership. But it does mean you don't give up. You don't stand down, you stand up. So with a great joy, I am proud to announce that if accepted by the people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I will unquestionably re-enter public service in my new home state after a period of much-deserved rest. My political career isn't ending today. It's truly just beginning. Strengthened by the love and support of the people of Delaware and the wisdom I acquired in my service, I look forward to getting back on the campaign trail and working with leaders that I believe exemplify the best of my party, the leaders of the Massachusetts Democratic Party. For those of you who have lost faith in our system due to my treatment and don't know how a person overcomes such evil acts and deeds, I intend to show you. So as I depart for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to live in the shadows of great American names such as Kennedy, Adams, Hancock, Brooke, Warren, Cabot Lodge, and Patrick, I say to my supporters and the people of this state, I love you. And for those of you who try so hard to destroy me and destroy what I believed in, I forgive and pray for you. Thank you, and may God bless the people of Delaware and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Mrs. Flowers, let's go to our new home in Massachusetts. Thanks, everybody. God bless you guys.
You take questions?